few people responded that they wanted to be a part of tonight's webinar, which we're very excited about. So we're at about 50 participants right now. So we probably had close to 100 people say they wanted to come. So we're just going to give it a few more minutes while we have awkward side chatter. And when we get some higher numbers, I'm going to pass it off. So again, thank you very much for coming.
Can you guys hear it or no?
No, I can't hear
Oh,
it.
I can. I can hear it.
Can you?
Lights and sirens.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't.
That's really nice, this 7 o'clock. I don't heir it around here. Does anybody
No.
else hear the
No,
healthcare workers?
no,
A lot of lawn signs, though.
I know.
If we have any healthcare workers or
like
essential
a-
workers, thank you.
There's a lot of cowbell.
Is there?
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe Will Farrell's out there.
Needs more cowbell.
That would be great.
Great.
How are we? Okay, we're up to 60. Yes, Danielle, there will be a recording. We are going to post it after we're done with tomorrow night's recording. So hopefully we'll have all of this on our various pages by the end of the week.
And a recording from last night also we have.
Yep, and tomorrow night we'll do. Yes, you're welcome. Where? Our webpage. Yeah, probably our webpage. I don't want to steal Miss Mark's thunder, but we also have a Facebook page and Instagram page that we're going to tell you about. So we're going to try and, this is our first time doing this, but once we have all the kind of kinks worked out, we'll post it wherever we can. And we can also email it out if we can't figure out the other avenues. But thanks for being here.
We're now not only counselors, we're social media gurus.
Yeah.
We all are. We have 2 job titles now.
We are using our time wisely.
Yeah.
We're going to have to keep this up, though, next year. We're in the building.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Tracy.
Oh, so
Thank
nice.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're trying.
That is so true.
Yes, we are all wearing many hats. Everyone now is a teacher. Some better than others. But we're doing our best. I don't like teaching. Maggie. Yeah, it's not easy. All right, we're up to 70. What do you think? What time is it? It is 7:04. Maybe we'll give it one more minute and we'll begin at 7:05. Oh, no, we lost someone.
Uh-oh.
What
Because
did I
I said we were recording, we should have kept that a secret.
What did I say?
Hey, folks, just a quick reminder also, if you haven't had a junior college conference, or even if you did, if you want to schedule one with us on Zoom, just reach out to us, send us out an email. I've heard from a couple of people today, so, we're happy to still do junior college conferences.
Yes, very good point. Thank you, Andrew.
Oh, thank you.
All right, we're up to 70. What do you think? Get started?
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, welcome everyone. We really appreciate you all being here. We are excited to share some more information with you tonight. Hopefully some of you were with us last night when we kind of went over a full overview of the program. If you missed that night, we've recorded it. We're recording tonight and we will record tomorrow night, and we're going to get that posted so that everybody can watch it maybe at a later date. So no fear, if you weren't here last night, you can still see it. We have, as you can see, the chat and the Q&A box available for you. So if at any point you have a question, we will try to moderate that, and if it's appropriate for what we're talking about at the time, we'll pull it up. If not, we have some time allotted at the end to go over all the questions. So I introduced everybody already, but I'll do it again real quick. We have Miss Holzer, Miss Marks, Miss Rivera, and Mr. Altman with us tonight. I'm Kelly Keene, another counselor. Most of the night is going to be with Miss Holzer because we're going to do a live Common App workshop. So it's really hard to bounce back between screens. So she was our lucky winner who chose to show everybody how to do the Common App. So the rest of us might be a little quiet for a while, but don't worry, we're still here. I am going to push it off now to Miss Marks, who's going to give you a little overview of the night.
Thank you, Ms. Keene. Hi, everyone. I hope you didn't have too much traffic getting here. I know 7 o'clock on a weeknight tends to be a little crazy, but thank you for joining us. So tonight we're going to go over what is the Common App for those of you who don't know. It's basically one of the best ways to apply to college. It has tons and tons of schools on it, and the schools that are not on the Common App are on something called Coalition. And if they're not on Coalition, they have to be difficult and have their own separate application. Some of those schools would be the UC schools, some weird schools in the middle of the country also. And then tomorrow night, we have a special guest joining us, Dr. Katie Lynch. We'll be talking about the essay, and she will also be talking about SUNYs, CUNYs, and Mr. Altman is also going to have some wise words for that as well. And 2 new fun things. We do have a Facebook page, and now we have an Instagram page. Yay. We will not probably have a TikTok or Snapchat. I think that's a little bit above what we can handle at this time. But we are on Instagram and Facebook, so thank you.
Now, Ms. Rivera. Oh, Ms. Rivera is muted. There she is.
I am. Hi. So one of the greatest things your rising seniors can do over the summer so that they'll be very relaxed in the fall is begin their Common application. So they can register and create an account over the summer, put in as much information as they can possibly put in, but the things that have to do with the size of the class or the school phone numbers, the things like that, they'll be given all that over in the fall when we start and when they begin their senior year. You want to make sure that they register with an appropriate email address that they're used to and they can go check regularly. You don't want to use your parents'. You want to make sure that when you're filling out the application, you use proper grammar, punctuation, and capitalization is very important. As you see the example, when you put your teachers' names, you want to write the name correctly and use the appropriate capitalization. It makes a very big difference. They're looking at all of that. Optional questions should mostly be considered necessary. Always be aware of your deadlines. Common App has great tools that will help you keep track of all the deadlines for your schools. Don't wait until the last minute to submit it, and just be brief, honest, and clear on your application. So now Ms. Holzer is going to go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty of the Common App, and it'll be much easier after she explains it all to you.
All right, can everybody see this on my screen, panelists?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. There's a lot of technology to manipulate tonight, so bear with me. Last night we had a pretty straightforward PowerPoint presentation, and tonight we're going to spend some time bouncing through some of these different websites. We're going to spend the bulk of our time tonight on this website, Common Application. So just a little bit of a history, and if you've sat in my office, you've heard this history that might make me sound a little dated and old, but hey, we started an Instagram account, so we're not that old. When I applied to college, if I applied to 8 different colleges, I had to call those colleges and request that they send me a paper application. I then had to fill out 8 different college applications, put them in the mail, like the real mail, and mail them back to the different colleges. So I had to fill out the application 8 times. Somewhere along the way, somebody said, well, first the internet happened, and then somebody said, hey, we're all asking for very similar information, so why don't we streamline this process, and students can fill out one application one time and send it to 8 different places. So they invented that. It wasn't any of us, but it did happen that the Common Application was then created. So the Common Application now has over 900 member colleges, and it's the most widely used college application. Of course, over the years, it's had some competitors, and I think the most frequent competitor right now is either the Coalition application, which right now has about hovering around 145 member colleges. And by member colleges, I mean colleges that accept their application. And then also colleges who have chosen to continue to use their own individual applications that you can access right there on their admissions pages. And we'll take a look at one of those tonight too. But again, with 900 member colleges on the Common Application, you could see why we're going to spend the bulk of our time here tonight. So the Common Application becomes available in the 2021 school year on August 1st. That's when it rolls over so that you will see everything specific to 2021. However, it used to be that you couldn't even create an application until that August 1st date. But Common Application created more user space, and now the class of 2021 can go on and create an account today if they were so eager. And the important piece there is when you're registering to make sure that you're selecting that you're a student applying for the class of 2021. If not, everything that you do will get wiped out when they do the rollover on August 1st. But if you make sure to select that you're a student applying for the class of 2021, after August 1st, you will receive something called, when you try to log back in, you'll receive something called an account rollover prompt. What that means is that you'll be asked a few more questions, and the application that you were to maybe create tomorrow would roll over to 2021. That's when you'll start to look at the application and you'll see the dates shift. You'll see deadline dates that are applicable to 2021. You'll see college-specific questions applicable to 2021. Before that, you're still looking at the application from 2020. But so much of the information stays the same that you can get a jump start by filling out pieces of the application today. The pieces of the application that will roll over are anything filled out in the Common Application tab. And we are going to take a look at that. And also any college that you add to your list, that will all carry over. The items that will not carry over are any college-specific questions. Those won't roll over because colleges may change the questions that they ask you. We're going to take a closer look so this becomes more clear, but I do want you to understand that if you created an account today, it's to get a look at the 1920 application. But your information will roll over in part to 2021. After August 1st, it is all yours, okay? So I wanna first take a look at the Common Application site itself because there's some really helpful information on here. This is right here in Find a College is where you can see if it's one of the nearly 900 colleges that are used, if the college that you're interested in is one of the nearly 900 colleges used by this application. If it is, it's going to come up. So you'll see SUNY Binghamton. If you click on SUNY Binghamton, you're going to get a short summary of the school. They're going to tell you some fast fact information. A lot of the colleges in many different areas are partnering with these third-party websites, and they are giving campus tours virtually. So this is, again, as we spoke about last night, another area where you can access some virtual tours since we can't get on campuses right now. You'll get an overview of the programs that are offered, quick access to their admissions websites, and typically, this is not updated right now, you'll get updates on visits and virtual events that they might be holding. If you go back to Find a College and you type in a school that perhaps doesn't use it, It's just not going to show up. Okay. So this is where you can do a little bit more research to find out if the school exists on the Common Application. Common App has done a really great job rolling out guides to help students fill this out. So if you click here on Apply to College before even creating an account, you get some really good insight into what you're going to need available to you in order to successfully fill this out. So you can scroll through here and you can give yourself a little bit of a tutorial on completing the Common Application before even creating an account. So this can already give you some familiarity. Right here is some info on the account rollover. Okay. I'm going to, let's see, move my panelist friends out of the way so I can go in and create an account. So if you're a first-year student and you create an account, and all of you will be first-year students, you go in, and this is where you're going to put in all of your identifying information to create your account. Your email address should be an appropriate grown-up email address. So typically something that includes first and last name, not, I love My Little Ponies 13 at hotmail.com. So this is the time, if you have not created one, to create your more grown-up email address. Also, to use an email address that you're committed to checking pretty regularly. Once you input your email address and create your account, that's the email address that colleges are going to use to contact you throughout this entire process. So this is the email address where you'll even find out if you've been admitted to that college. Gone is the day of the thick and thin envelopes in the mail. Now it is clicking on the email with the confetti coming up on the screen that says congratulations. So you do want to make sure that you are using an email address that you will closely monitor. And if you're not somebody who checks email regularly, throughout this process, you will become one. Here, where you're adding your first and last name, this is what Mrs. Rivera was talking about, where we have to be careful about capitalization. We capitalize our first and last name. And everything that when we're sending text messages, when we're filling things out, sometimes we're quick and we don't take special care to do that. But when you put your first and last name in here, you are, that is the name that will be pre-populated into your account. So anytime, you won't have the opportunity to go back and fix it if you were to enter your name incorrectly here. And I know that sounds very silly, entering your name incorrectly, but if I didn't see it, I wouldn't say it. You want to make sure that you're using legal first and last names as they appear on official documents. You're going to be sending documents from multiple agencies. From the high school, we want your transcript to match the name that you enter on this account. From College Board or ACT, all the names need to match, all the birthdays need to match, so that all of that information gets to the college and gets put virtually into the right application file. You're going to enter your address. This is where you're going to be very careful to click the class of 2021. You're going to check these boxes that you've read the policies, and you're going to create your account. Okay. How am I doing? Any questions before we go log in?
There was one question that came up earlier about using the Common App for the SUNY schools. Ms. Marks answered. So pretty much all the SUNY schools are on the Common App, except for like Rockland Community College is not, so the community colleges aren't. And SUNY has their own applications, but there's no advantage to using their application. It's not going to help your chances of being admitted. It's just going to be extra work for you. So you're much better off just using the Common App for your SUNY schools.
That's a really good point. There's no favoring of applications. I've heard students say, should I use the SUNY application because it shows a greater interest in the SUNY school. There's no favoritism on applications.
There's also one other question. Can you provide a list of what needs to get done and the start date to begin? I believe there's a timeline on the Navion's homepage, right, Mrs. Holzer?
Say the question again, like a timeline for starting the application?
Yes.
This is something that we really, I know we're going to have some very eager students who want to get a jump start on creating these accounts, and that's okay. They'll just go into what we talked about earlier, the account rollover. But really, this is designed to begin on August 1st. Okay. All right, so now we're in. Your account will not flash red as a practice account, but mine will. But it will not look any different when you're in here. So let's walk through the different phases of the application. This is the dashboard. I input these schools here on this application. So you see those because I added them to the list, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. The My Colleges tab is where you're going to find college-specific information, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. The bulk of where you could be spending your time right now is in this Common Application tab. We'll jump back to those other tabs, but we're going to start by going through this first. The Common Application tab is broken down into 6 different sections. So this is the stuff that you could begin to work on. The Profile section, which is just basically demographic information. This is, again, where we're going to be honest, clear, straightforward in the answers that we're putting. And here is, this is all going to be information that's pre-populated. So based on you creating the account, you'll already see this information here. Contact details, you can provide multiple phone numbers, but I find for the most part, students choose to put their own cell phone numbers here, and that's fine. Very rarely are colleges contacting students by phone. Email is, I find, has been the more preferred choice of contact. Okay, this is where you'll put demographic information. You want to choose how you most identify. Okay, this is citizenship questions that you'll put in here. Language is a funny one. I have seen students put their high school languages in here. So if you're a student taking Spanish or French, that's not what this is for. This is really for students who are proficient and speak multiple languages in their home. Okay. Citizenship. On here, if you do intend to apply for financial aid, you do have to put your social security number. This is tricky because you don't have to put your social security number. So when you complete a section and you fill out every required question, you're going to come up here and you're going to get one of these green check marks like you see next to testing. The profile section is going to give you a green check mark even if you don't put your social security number. So a lot of students right now don't know their social security numbers off the top of their head. So I have had students skip this, but there's nothing that signals them to go back to it. So it is important that you go back and you put in your social security number if you do intend to apply for financial aid. This is how the financial aid office and the admissions offices match your accounts. I unfortunately have had the experience of a student who forgot to put in their social security number and whose FAFSA was not received as a result by the college, and she didn't get it took some calling and some figuring out, but she initially did not get the appropriate financial aid package because she didn't put in her social security number. So that is something important if there's an intent to apply for financial aid, that you flag that and make sure you go back to put that in. Common application fee waivers. Every college is a bit of a money-making industry, isn't it? And every application typically costs money to apply. applications, I want to say, range anywhere from $40 to $80 to process one application. That can become quite costly for families. So students who feel that paying these college application fees, that might be a hardship for the family, they're encouraged to speak to us about that, because we would want them to check, yes, that they do qualify for a common application fee waiver, but it's very important that a family has a conversation with the counselor before doing that and submitting it, because we have to then verify that. So we have to support this family's request for a fee waiver, but we don't know to do that unless you've told us that you've used the fee waiver. Okay, this is also some information that you can get a jump start on. So this is filling out your parents' information. So on here, it goes through, you're going to talk about each parent. And this is where some conversations come into play, because as we get down here, you'll be surprised how many times I've sat with a student one-on-one and they've looked at me and said, I don't know what my dad does. So this is where we're going to talk about occupation titles and details. This is where we're going to input education level. And when we do that, I also believe it asks for graduation dates, that parents have received certain degrees. So that might require some input from parents to help their students fill this out. And then in the sibling section, this is where we're going to put all of our siblings. It only allows for up to 5 spaces. If we have students who have more than 5 siblings, there's an additional information section where additional siblings can be added. And then also, this is where you put, if you have older siblings who are attending certain colleges, those are also input here too. This is the area where colleges determine legacy. So if there's family members who have previously gone to a college, this is the area where colleges are going to get that information. The education section right now can only partially be filled out, and this is now 2017. Because a lot of this information is information that we're going to provide to students in the fall. We're going to give them a handout, and the handout is going to have things like their exact graduation date. It's going to have all of the counselors identifying information. That information sheet is also going to have GPAs that are calculated after the completion of this school year. It's going to have the graduation class size that students will want to put in. And then also, when we're talking about inputting GPA, we work on something called a 100-point grading scale. I've seen students, for whatever reason, maybe they feel as though it looks better, the optics are better, on trying to convert that to a 4.0 scale. But we want what's input here to match exactly what is on your high school transcript, and you'll get that most recent copy of your transcript in the fall of next year. But we don't want to try and change this to any other grading scales. Most popular is the 4.0 grading scale. We want to make sure that we're reporting on a 100-point grading scale because that's what our school works on. Okay. And we do have weighted GPAs. Okay. Other secondary high schools, this is for any of our students who transferred in and did not spend all 4 years at Tappan Zee High School. That information gets input here. And colleges and universities. This one can be tricky because you've likely not attended college on a college campus, but you may have earned college credit in your time in high school. This is not AP related information. This is college courses taken on a high school campus. For most of our students, that is SUNY New Paltz credits for the different courses that you've taken that end in SUNY New Paltz credits. And then also, this is The more popular one would be for the engineering courses through RIT. That's another popular place where our students get college credit. And you can report this. What you have to make sure to do is choose that it is a dual enrollment program. Because if you don't choose that it's a dual enrollment program, what this can do is it can trigger colleges, the colleges that you're applying to wait for your SUNY New Paltz transcript to make any decisions. You don't want them to, we're not waiting on SUNY New Paltz transcripts to be sent to the colleges, because we are only going to send SUNY New Paltz transcripts to the college you decide to attend, not the college you decide to apply to. The college that you decide to apply to is going to look at the high school class grade that you took sitting in the chair in your high school class. That's going to matter more to them, what's on your high school transcript, than the transcript that comes from New Paltz. That could all be put in there. Next year, your high school transcript will not only have all of your completed courses, but it'll have your courses in progress listed on it. So you're going to use that transcript to input the courses that you are that you're taking as a senior. Colleges are looking here to make sure you're keeping up with traditional rigor, to make sure that you did not mail it in senior year, and your senior year course load continues to look similar to your course loads from years past. Okay, the honor section. So this sometimes can cause some stress, because students will say to me, I don't have anything to put in here. There's a number of different things that can be put in here, but you don't have to put anything. It is okay to put 0. When the college looks at this, they don't see the honor section and then the number 0. They just don't see the section. And I think that's helpful for students to see sometimes by looking at the print preview on each page. They get a look at how the college sees what you're reporting on this application. So when the college is looking at it and scanning it, it doesn't look as daunting as it might look when you're looking at the honor section here. But the honor section can be pretty expansive. It can include any honor roll, high honor roll, exceptional honor roll recognition. This can be student showcase. This can be the academic achievement awards that happen yearly. Any academic honors should be put here. This isn't the place this could be the place for athletic honors if you're an academic scholar in athletics, but this isn't the place for awards outside of academics. That I'm going to show you the place for that. Some students struggle with what they should put, if honor societies should go here. You can choose to put honor societies in the honor section or the activity section. And sometimes the decision with doing that is really how involved you are in your particular honor society. So if there's a lot that you do that you want to share and expand upon in your honor society, it's probably better served in the activity section. If you're a member but not so highly involved, it might be better served in the honor section. There's no right or wrong there. It probably doesn't serve a purpose in both sections. Community-based organizations. This is if you have, this very, very rarely applies to students. This is if you have been, if you have been provided with any assistance through any third-party programs to help you complete your applications. The most popular one that students might come across to report here is a program called QuestBridge, but that is, you know, that would be very specific to a student, and you could have a conversation with your counselor about whether or not something would be reported here. For, you know, 99% of students, it's going to be 0 here. Future plans. It is okay at 16 years old to be undecided in your future plans and to not know. You could put what you think. This is also not a lifelong commitment, what you choose to put here. This is the college trying to get an idea of what your interests are. but there is no strategy for what you put here in future plans. However, this is under the Common App tab. So this is not college specific, this tab right here. Every different career interest is listed. So if you're interested in studying culinary to be a chef, but you're applying to a college that doesn't have a culinary program, that might look funny. So you do want to match up what you put here to be most general to your interests, and make sure that the colleges you're applying to have a program that would support that interest. Undecided seems to be the safest. Okay, so profile, family, education, we move on to testing. We spent a lot of time talking about testing last night. This is where students who have taken tests and are going to be reporting tests will choose to self-report their scores to the college. So if students choose to do so, they'll put in the test that they've taken, and they'll put in their scores exactly as they get it on the score report from SAT or ACT. This is an unofficial report. So this is just an opportunity, again, if we're looking at the print preview here, how they see it, it's just an opportunity for a college admissions counselor to get a fast read on what your scores are. Most colleges are going to look for you to verify your scores by sending them through College Board or ACT directly. However, there's a growing number of schools that recognize how costly it is to apply to college. And through ACT and College Board, many students, you have to pay for the score reports to be sent from the testing agencies to the college. So in order to help reduce those costs, what some colleges have done is say, we'll take your self-reporting, but you have to send us your official score report if this is where you ultimately choose to attend, so they can verify those scores. That's very college specific. I think the growing trend is moving towards that. So you still do have to go on the college's website and see, do they want my scores officially reported from the testing agency, or will they take them self-reported right here on the application? But again, this is just self-reporting. Some of our students might decide to apply test optional to some colleges and not test optional to other colleges. In that case, I think it's best to just click that you're not self-reporting your scores, and then send the score reports directly from College Board or ACT to the colleges that require them. Do nothing for the colleges that don't require them. Those 4 sections, for as much as I just talked, are really the easier pieces of this application. It's the stuff that you can fill out probably with the TV on in the background. The next 2 sections, the activity section and the writing section, those are the meat of the application. That is really where you're going to spend the bulk of time in filling out this, filling this out. I want to remind you that Common Application has built in a lot of tutorial throughout all of their throughout this website. So over here, in this column here, has all instructions and help that are relevant to the page that you're on. They even have tutorials through, what'd I do? They even have tutorials through YouTube for every page. So this is the activity section tutorial. Let's give it a go.
Hi, it's Shauna from Common App. Let's
Hi, Shauna.
take a look at the activity section and what questions you're asked. The activity section gives you the chance to tell colleges more about yourself and your interests outside of school. You can list up to 10 activities in this section, but that doesn't mean you have to enter 10 activities. Instead, it's better to think about the activities that are most meaningful to you. First, you're asked whether you want to report any activities. Answer yes, and a set of questions will appear below where you can add an activity. Use the button to add more activities. If you have multiple activities listed, you can use the arrow buttons to reorder them. Use the move button to delete an activity. For each activity, you'll first select the activity type. You can list activities like family responsibilities, jobs, volunteer work, and more. If you can't find your activity type, you can choose the Other option. The next two fields ask you to describe the activity and your involvement in it. Keep in mind that there are character limitations for each of these fields. That means you may need to abbreviate words or simplify your sentence structure. You'll then list when you participated in this activity. You will also need to share the number of hours and weeks you spent on this activity. If you aren't sure of the exact numbers, it's all right to give your best guess. Lastly, you will specify whether you plan to take part in a similar activity in college. And that's it. Now that you understand how to complete the activities section, you're ready to get started.
All right, truth be told, I just used her to drink some water. Haha, laugh track.
I muted myself because it's very loud outside, but I was laughing.
Now I gotta figure out how to move you to get back. Oh, there we go. Oh, no, Shauna, I'm done.
It's
Thank
Brandon
you.
Oh, now it's Brandon.
Section and what
stop.
questions you're asked. In this section,
I'm
you'll share
regretting using
information
her.
about your school and academic history. First, use the Find School
Stop.
button to add your current
Hi,
or most recent
It's
high
Shauna
school.
from
I
Contact.
can't.
Oh no.
Look at the
By
activity
country,
section.
city,
And what questions
seat
you're
code.
Activity
Got it
section gives you
right.
the
Start
chance to
typing
tell
in the name
colleges
of your
more
school.
Oh,
about
you gotta just X out of that.
You
can
can't find your
list up to
school.
10
Use
activities.
the
X out on your little tab on top.
Thank you so much, Miss Marks.
That's why I'm here.
Let's go back. Sorry, everyone. Hang on with me. But we needed to have some of these. We needed to have a little gaff.
Can't be too serious all the time.
I'm starting to get worried that Common App was going to steal this and use it for their
Good, it's too
tutorial.
All right, let's go back to the activity section.
We're going
Because
to start all over.
we all start from the beginning. No. Let's
Type in your name.
we'll go back to the activity section because I did want to pause here. I wanted to drink my water, but I also wanted to spend some time talking about the activity section because I don't want to forget that I'm sitting at my kitchen table. And really, I do this presentation pushing into English classes at the end of May for juniors. But circumstances in our world are preventing that. And I think when we're talking about activities, there's been a lot of questions from juniors because a lot of the activities that you've been involved in, athletics, school clubs, outside clubs, your dance classes, those are things that have been put on pause. And I think that it is heightening some nerves about what we can be putting in the activity section. First, know that colleges, we said this last night, colleges are being flexible. Colleges understand the state of the world and they understand that you're not participating in the activities that you once did to the extent that you once did. But all is not lost. There could be an opportunity to talk about some things that you're doing right now in this current world. Maybe your family responsibilities have heightened. Maybe you have younger brothers and sisters and you are the homeschool teacher. That's something that you can include in your Common application as an activity. Maybe the program that you were doing, you're now doing on Zoom. Talk about how you've adapted. Talk about how you are still active virtually in the things that you were once interested in and committed to. Maybe you've gotten a chance to start a hobby. Maybe you're cooking dinner for your family. And if you're not, maybe I just gave you a good idea. You're a really good parent. Maybe you want to start thinking about how you're using your time right now and what control you do have over your activities that you can report. But when all is said and done, if you are right now just surviving your day-to-day, that's okay too. And colleges understand. So I don't want there to be a lot of pressure over this junior year activity section, because everyone gets it, okay? The activity section, you know, to just kind of go over and recap what my friend just helped me with there, my friend Shauna. This is where you're going to post the things that you've been involved in. Anything that you've done outside of a regular school day are things that you can consider an activity. This is not just school events. So this can be, you know, things that you do outside of school. This could be charitable events, fundraising events, things that you're going to want to report here. This section right here to describe the activity, this does not have to be full, complete sentences. So you are very limited in the characters that you're putting here. So this is not where you need to elaborate on exactly what that activity is. You can use short, incomplete sentences to get the point across. Colleges don't need to really be told what varsity soccer is. They know. So you don't need to belabor this right here. This is the area where they're getting a sense of how committed, how involved you are in this particular sport. Is this, or this activity, is this something that you do over the summer? Is this something that you do year round? Is this something that you do once a month? Is this something that you do every day? This is where they're getting a gauge for the commitment and the length of time that you commit to this particular activity. And then if you intend to participate in a similar activity in college, you can check this. I wouldn't be super eager about checking this in every single instance, but you know, if you expect to maybe play club badminton, then yeah, go ahead and check it that you might participate in that at the college level too.
Also, if I could just add, in terms of like the hours per week, I have some students really stressing out, trying to figure out exactly how many hours they've done that activity. You could just use your best guess. Just you can just estimate what, you know, how many hours you're doing it, and into that, nobody's going to come back and check you on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, where they're getting an estimate of what the commitment is to that particular activity. They also like that on the activity section that you list the activities in order of importance to you. So that thing that you do every year, you know, maybe your year-round sport, that might want to go at the top of the list, where that, you know, one benefit walk that you participated in ninth grade, that might go to the bottom of the list. And then you also want to be thoughtful about the activities that go on here, because colleges, you only can put up to 10 activities. Some colleges, and I think a growing number, are allowing students to upload their resumes directly to the application, but that's college specific and found in the college information section, and we'll look at that together too. The writing section is where we're going to spend the bulk of our time tomorrow. So I will not steal any of Dr. Lynch's thunder, and I hope that you will join us again tomorrow night for her insight into writing the college essay. But I will say that this meme has been passed around quite a bit. Can we all see this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There is growing concern that colleges might receive a very significant number of essays this coming year written about the coronavirus pandemic. And I think in an effort to combat students spending their entire essay talking about this period of time, what they're doing for the Common Application for 2021 is they're adding a place in the additional information writing section down here. So after August 1st, I believe you'll see it. In the additional information section, they're going to add another box down here for an opportunity to speak about COVID-19 and how it may have impacted you. I believe what they're looking for there is for students to share extenuating circumstances. So this, you know, horribly would be for a family to share if there was a loss, to share if there was significant household burden at that time, to give more context to the college about how a family may have been affected during this time period. So as it's always been for the additional information section, this is not a have to. You don't have to share additional information unless you find that that additional information is really relevant to your application. I think the space that they're providing is in an effort to combat a college admissions officer reading their 3,000 essay on coronavirus. Okay. Courses and grades. We very rarely come across the need to do this. It's typically at our larger public state schools, Penn State being one of them, that requires students to do something called a self-reported academic record. This started, I believe, with the UC schools, who do not want to receive high school transcripts and instead ask students to report every grade that they have received throughout their 8th grade high school bearing credits through the completion of junior year. And then once the student is admitted and decides to attend that college, then the high school follows up by sending the transcript. This is typically only used by those larger public out-of-state schools that I mentioned. But if you were to add a college to your list that requires this, then you would see that college listed here that you'd have to fill that out. College search is where you add the schools to your list. So we would add Binghamton, and then Binghamton would appear here on our dashboard. This is no commitment until you actually hit the submit button and apply. You just delete it. And now you don't have to apply to Binghamton anymore. But if you wanted to get a head start on looking at what the school's supplements might look like, then you could add that college and then maybe later delete it. So the My Colleges section. Colleges said, hey, we'll take all of the information that's general in the Common App tab, but we still want you to answer questions that are specific to my college. So if we were to go here to UConn and we click on college information, remember, this is still college information specific to the fall of 2020. On August 1st, this will change. Common App is also really great about keeping updated deadlines with colleges. So there was a lot of talk last night about the possibility that colleges may extend early action, early decision deadlines. You'll see that listed here in the deadline area if a college does decide to do that. But like we mentioned, the best information, you could always access it here on Common App, but you verify it on the college's website. You make sure that what you read on a third-party website matches what the college is reporting on their own admissions website. The last time we saw colleges extend deadlines was probably Hurricane Sandy, when a number of people were out of power for extended periods of time. They extended deadlines, and all of the deadlines were updated here on Common Application to reflect that. So it's not something that they're unfamiliar with. Then if we go down here to the questions, this is the information right now that will not carry over, but you can get a peek at what you might be asked, because colleges may change this before going into the next application pool. So you want to make sure that you are looking at this but not filling it out right now, because you'll lose that information after August 1st. This is typically where they ask you what programs you're interested in at their school. Like I mentioned, there's some colleges that allow you to upload your resume directly to the application. This is an instance where you can do that. And then this is an application that is asking right here for some family information to probably get a sense of legacies if you've had family members who have attended previously. Sometimes, though, these are very extensive additional questions. Sometimes it takes on the form of entirely additional essays. So But more often it takes on the role of some short answer questions. More common ones that we see are tell us why you want to go here. You know, why does this, what makes you a good fit for this school? What makes this school a good fit for you? Elaborate on an activity that's been important to you is another popular one. Sometimes they're completely additional essays. I really enjoyed the one that said, you are writing your own autobiography, you're on page 362, go. So sometimes they take on the form of entirely different essay prompts. And those are typically called writing supplements. So here's Villanova, who has a writing supplement, and you can see those questions listed here. Again, right now, all you would be doing here is getting a sense of what you might be asked, but you're waiting for August 1st to see what the updated questions might be. The dashboard is where you'll see your progress. Once this rolls over, you'll see application deadlines here. You'll get a check mark if you've completed every piece of the application. And this is the dashboard is where you ultimately submit your application. You cannot accidentally submit your college application. You can go into this account, out of this account as many times as you need in order to work on it. You are given 15 different prompt boxes before you actually submit your application. Basically, it comes up, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Until you finally hit the submit button, and then when you pay. So the credit card is really the thing that tells you you have completed and submitted an application. And then I will also just spend a second on the financial aid resources. This is information about financial aid. You don't do anything to apply for or submit financial aid on the common application, but these are resources to help you in doing so, some links to the application. But this is resources. This is not where families apply for financial aid. All right. That's the common application. Now let's do the coalition. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. The coalition application, I will, oh, I closed out my whole box before, didn't I? Coalition app, same thing, create an account. The questions are very similar. The coalition app does require students to, the majority of schools do require that self-reported academic record on the coalition application. So that can be a little bit more of a tedious version, but there are colleges on coalition that are not on common application. I have to say the more popular ones for our students are Clemson, Rutgers, Georgia Tech, James Madison. Those larger schools tend to use and prefer coalition application. So they will not be found on Common App. My school of thought is try and keep yourself in one place as much as possible. So if all colleges are on Common App, just use Common App. If you have to split between two, that's okay to be navigating one or two, but try and condense the applications as much as possible so you're not navigating too many sites. And then there's colleges that have their own application management systems. So probably amongst the most popular for us is, you would think I would know that one off the top of my head, is Rockland Community College. If you go to the admissions tab and go to apply now, and this is the same for any website that uses their own, or any college that uses their own website as the application management system. You would go right here to the application and you would click on their online application and you would fill it out directly on their website. All right. That is a tutorial on applications. And we hit the 8 o'clock hour. So let's see, do we have some questions rolling in?
One question I don't know the answer to. It says, if you have a specific,
pressure.
it's loud outside. It says if you have a specific payment plan with a state school, would you be able to put that on the application?
I'm not sure what, meaning maybe a
Like, are you a
second resident in
Yeah.
Florida
I was thinking too.
might be.
If you're a resident, then that would be, you would mark that you're a resident.
Right, and different.
Almost all applications have an opportunity to, especially our public state systems, have the opportunity to discuss residency. So that might come up a lot with families who have other homes. The primary residence is usually what colleges use, but there is an opportunity in the college-specific information section for most public state schools to speak to residency.
So we're assuming that's what that was implying, was residency. I think we answered most of the other questions, but maybe we can just go over them real quickly. Can you provide a list of what needs to get done at the start date to begin? I believe we discussed that. Correct, yep, we discussed that. There was a SUNY Oneonta question mark. Was that regarding, is SUNY Oneonta on the common application, do we think?
That had to do with the college credits that we that you can get for courses from Tappan Zee High School. And actually, we have a list on the high school website of courses that you can get college credit for from Tappan Zee. So if you don't remember, you want to check, you can go on the website and see that.
But SUNY Oneonta is on the Common App, so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All SUNY schools, except for two-year SUNYs, are on the Common App.
These next two sections will be wiped out if I start the application before August 1st. Does anybody remember what two sections they were referring to?
The sections that will not roll over are the college-specific questions. That's not going to roll over.
Right, but
anything you do in the Common App tab, that general tab, that will roll over.
Right.
So I'm not sure what two sections, but those.
That question was earlier though. Before you got into, I believe, this school specific question, like the school specific answers.
Okay, and then we have, when it asks what courses you are taking this year, should we list our junior year classes or what we will take senior year? So this is referring to your senior year classes. Your transcript will list all of the courses that you have taken with your final grades and Regents exams, and that technically will be sent in at the same time as your application. It does ask for you to break down your senior year courses, and that can be a little tricky for students. Half year courses, full year courses, things like that. But that question was, it's referring to your senior year courses.
There's 3 new open questions.
Ooh, let's go to those. How exciting. Oh, so SUNY Oneonta was regarding the college credit. Thank you, Kevin, for letting us know that. Did we answer that question?
Yep.
Yeah. When students self-report grades on the Coalition app, are the final course grades weighted or just the GPA? When students self-report grades.
Just the GPA.
Are the
and that's the same for our high school transcripts. So when you self-report your academic record, you are reporting your high school transcript exactly as is. That's really important because then they verify it when we do send them the official copy. Any final course grade is never weighted. That is your calculated raw final grade. But having taken Regents, honors, or AP courses adds weight to your GPA.
And just to mention, yesterday we said how we will meet with all our seniors and go over some of the things that they need to do for their applications. The transcript is also involved with that. So you'll have a copy of your transcript if it is that you have schools that you need to self-report the classes that you've taken.
Okay, next question. Can we change our major after applying? Mr. Altman, you want to take that one?
I think you can. Not every school is going to ask you to necessarily identify a major. Some of them might, And I think you still potentially can. I would say probably in that situation, you may want to contact the admissions office and let them know that
Yeah.
you're changing it. Some majors might have different requirements, might be more competitive than others. So if you're going to do that, I would probably recommend contacting the admissions office and let them know that. Some schools, I think, don't even let you check off what you want to major in.
The major that you choose is a pretty important question. Sometimes students will maybe apply into a certain major with the hopes that maybe sophomore year they can transfer over to, say, the nursing program or the engineering program or things like that. That's something you want to be very careful with, because oftentimes you have to be accepted in as a freshman. There is no transferring over. So when you do declare a major going into a college, it's a pretty important decision. It's something you really want to read the fine print. You want to make sure that it's something you can switch majors if necessary. And if it may be, but there are definitely students who get into a college under one major with the hopes of switching over to another major. You just have to make sure that the college that you are doing that with accepts that role. What is the Naviance registration code? So we registered all sophomores. So students that are typically juniors now would have been registered in the spring of their sophomore year. Many students may have lost their registration at this point. All you have to do is email whoever your student's counselor is, and we will either reset the code or get you started with the Naviance registration. So just send us out an email and we'll get you started with that very easily. What else?
So going back to the self-reporting the academic record, students are going to be handed in the fall, or given in the fall, their high school transcript. And the high school transcript will have all finalized grades on it. The final, to self-report your academic record, you will literally put English 9 honors, final grade 92. World history honors, final grade 92. And those, you'll go through every academic year, grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, all the way through your senior year that you'll list as courses in progress. And those will be the raw final grades that you'll get on that paper transcript. And then they will also ask typically to give grades, the final GPA, and to report all of that. And that's all going to be put on, going to be able to be accessed from the transcript. It's a little bit of a tedious process, that self-reported academic record on that coalition application, because you do have to go in and report every single class you've ever taken.
I think this might be a good time to mention, you don't really have to necessarily remember all this right now. When we go back to school next fall, and hopefully it's in Tappan Zee High School, we work very closely with the seniors. So within the first 2 weeks, we're going to be going over the Common App again. We're going to have group meetings. We're going to be meeting individually with seniors, helping you with all aspects of the college application and process. And then we do after school workshops and help in the computer lab. So there's going to be a lot of support, hands-on support, emotional support, beginning right from the beginning of the school year next year.
Yep. Yeah, we definitely understand that this is going to be a difficult, start to the senior year. It's going to be a tough transition getting back to school. We're going to be waiting with bated breath to find out about deadlines and things that have changed, SATs, ACTs, things like that. So we will, as much as we can, focus our efforts on our seniors who already come into senior year with a bundle of stress regarding the college application process, and we'll do everything we can to try and ease their fears, to hold their hands through this. We will constantly be researching and trying to get the latest data and any changes that the colleges may have. But we, so it's going to be an interesting few months. Something we never thought, we would be a part of, but here we are, and we're going to make it work. We've been through some difficult times in the past, and, life goes on. So we will, hold your students' hands through this whole process, as we always do, and we'll do our best to take care of them both emotionally and academically. One thing I would really encourage parents on here to remember is let us know if you see, any major concerns coming out of your student. This can be a stressful process on a good year. So we can only imagine that this is going to be a pretty stressful process, and not just for the students, but for the parents. Financial aid, all those sort of things have really been upended. So we want to hear from you. Reach out to us as much as you feel necessary. We're going to make ourselves available to help as much as we possibly can. This is just the start of the process, and we'll be here with you throughout all of it. So I don't think we've gotten any new questions, have we? No, and no chats or anything like that.
There's a thank you.
You're
Very
welcome.
welcome.
And we want to see everybody back for the third part of our Trilogy tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow night's going to be really great. If any of you know Dr. Lynch from RCC, she is truly one of our favorites. She's a dynamic, fantastic speaker, smart as anyone I've ever met in my life. She's, I believe, still the head of the English department, and if she's not, she's the head of the Sam Draper Honors Program. She's pretty amazing, and she helps students with their writing, and you're just gonna fall in love with her like we do. So please, on that note, sign back in tomorrow. We really look forward to seeing you, and we really appreciate you spending your, what night, what are we, Wednesday?
It's Wednesday.
Who really knows?
We really appreciate you spending your Wednesday with us, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow night. So thank you so much. Everybody have a great night.
Have a good night,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Oh, we got so many thank yous. You're so welcome.
It's nice.
Oh, is there another question that we missed? Oh, no, just a thanks.
Oh, okay.
All right, good. All right. Good job, James.
Very good, Miss Holzer.
Amy, you are a rock star.
Wow.
You should go work for Common App.
Yes,
Actually, we can't lose you.
true.
What are you saying?
We can't lose my mentor.
I know. All right, I guess we'll hang up now, and I'll see you guys on FaceTime in a couple minutes. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Still here.